Noro just released its new yarn for spring-summer 2026, Mabuki. I've been swatching it for the last few days, and there are some things I think you should know. I'm Ellen Lewis, and I have been a Noro stockist for more than 20 years, and I've knit with just about every yarn Noro has ever produced. And I want to share with you what I find curious about this yarn. I ordered Mabuki back in the fall, say early October, and my rep was gracious enough to leave me a ball of it. I didn't think too much more about it because I was deep into fall things. So I just sort of set it aside, silk blend, spring, I will deal with that later. Then when I got the notice from Noro that they were going to be shipping Mabuki, I thought, okay, well, I better get busy and start swatching this. So I grabbed it in a hurry on my way out the door. I got home and I cast on some stitches like I always do. Very small needle, started swatching, gradually going up. You know, I always make this sort of graduated swatch. So I was really liking it. Felt very, very soft, beautiful. I was excited about it for spring. And then when I went to write the blog post about the yarn, I went and got the skein again. I looked at the label to see exactly how much silk, how much cotton, whatever. I was shocked. This yarn has no cotton in it. It's 40% silk, 30% viscose, and 30% wool. You could have knocked me over with a feather because this yarn does not feel woolly, like not at all. It doesn't feel woolly in the skein. It didn't feel woolly in my hands when I was knitting it, and it doesn't feel woolly in the swatch. So I was blown away. And I started really kind of looking at this and thinking about how Noro uses silk in their yarns. So first of all, you know that Noro is big into this idea of maintaining as much of the fiber's natural characteristics as possible in the finished yarn, which means they don't overprocess things. And the silk that they use in their silk-based yarns, like Mabuki, like Hunui silk, is raw silk, which means it hasn't been processed, which means it hasn't had the sericin washed off of it. And sericin is to silk as lanolin is to wool. It's kind of this almost sticky substance that gives silk a certain kind of grip. And you notice that when you are knitting. You absolutely don't feel like this yarn is sliding off your needles like you might with a lot of silk yarns. So that 40% raw silk is giving the yarn its characteristic feel. It's also creating these sort of textural blobs in the yarn that creates a lovely texture in the fabric. So what is the viscose doing? A lot of times people think, oh, viscose, they're cheapening it. They're substituting viscose for silk. But let me tell you, Noro never does anything with fiscal responsibility in mind. If it calls for silk, they're going to use silk. If it calls for cashmere, they're going to use cashmere. If it calls for viscose, they're going to use viscose. And in this case, it calls for viscose because viscose is a man-made fiber from natural ingredients, and it doesn't have the kind of cuticle or scales that wool has. So it has a very, very smooth feel, and it counteracts some of that grippiness that you get from the silk. And it also gives great drape. The wool in here gives a beautiful elasticity, making it a very nice knitting experience. So the silk and the viscose and the wool are working together in a beautiful marriage where they're bringing the best of each aspect of the three different fibers together. I like it. I like it a lot. I do want you to be aware of how this yarn goes from thick and thin. And that isn't a flaw. That is a characteristic of the whole wabi-sabi imperfection, textural, natural material kind of thing that is the aesthetic of Noro. And if you're a Noro lover, you know that, you understand that, you get it. It's part of why you love Noro. And if you don't love Noro, that's exactly why you don't. And that's okay too. Beyond fiber, one of the things that differentiates one Noro yarn from the next is the way the colors are distributed. Some yarns have very short color runs and some have much longer color runs. And what you will notice is here on my small swatch, this is a 24 stitch swatch, those colors show up as blocks, right? You get a very solid color block. You get a full sense of each of those colors as they run through. In my larger swatches, these are 40 stitch swatches, you can see that that color block begins to read as stripes. And this is basically half of a sweater front. So if you were doing a tee or a tank or something, you would know that across the front of your garment, this stripe would be about half this width. It's important to note that because if you decide that you want to do your sweater in the round, you are going to have an even narrower portion of each color. It's not good or bad, it's just important to be aware of how the colors are going to behave depending on the width of your fabric. The gauge for this yarn is 19 to 21 stitches over 4 inches, which if you look at it in the fiber, if you just look at the strand of yarn and then you look at it worked at those gauges, you might think that that feels a little bit loose. And I will tell you that when I had it on my needles at 19 stitches over 4 inches, I did think it felt a little bit loose. And I was concerned that maybe they were just pushing the gauge. But when I gave it a good block, I steam block things, so I steamed it. And what I noticed was, and I shouldn't have been surprised, the yarn absorbed that moisture, redistributed the fibers from this woolen spun yarn, and the fabric kind of bloomed into a plushier, much nicer and more appropriate fabric at that gauge. Not to say that it wouldn't work at 21 or even at 22 or tighter, but it's perfectly fine and wearable at the gauge specified on the label. There are 6 colors of Mabuki this season. I think they're all beautiful. Some of them are not more high contrast, but more different colors than others. So I want to show you all of them because they are so fun. This is color 5. This has these beautiful purple, blue, magenta, kind of creamy color in it. Very lovely color. So this is color 6, pink and brown, light pink, magenta, kind of a taupe. This is a really pretty color. I'm not a huge brown fan, but the pink makes up for it in my mind. This one is color 7. This is the color that I used for my swatches. It's got a lot of different colors in that. So if you are a multicolored girl, this would be the one for you. This has kind of a soft spring green, lavender, coral, and shades of each in between. This one is color 2, which is blue and turquoise and rust, kind of a warm brown and a tan. Very pretty. This is color 1, which has a mint green, a dark kind of warm pink, white, a little bit of yellow peeking out there. And this I think is really interesting. This is color number 8, and this is sort of your dark neutrals. I see this as a very transitional kind of color. This would be a color I would use for fall garments because this is a yarn that feels cool and is cool to wear, but these are more fallish colors and I think would be a nice transitional cardigan to carry you from a mid-Atlantic September all the way through the end of November, even early December. Everything with Noro kind of worked out this season beautifully, which it doesn't always, but the yarn arrived, the magazine arrived, and we have the trunk show coming the middle of this month. So I'm very excited to share all of that with you. Next week, I'll be back with some patterns written for Mabuki, as well as my favorites from the current magazine. If you are interested in seeing the trunk show and you are local, please join us. If not, the week after next, I will have a video showing the different projects, showing the different sweaters and projects on different people so that you can see what they look like on real people. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoy thinking deeply about yarn and fibers, I think you would really enjoy my newsletter, and you can subscribe to that at this link. I'm Ellen Lewis, and I'll see you next week.